Good morning. This meeting of the Baltimore City Council Health, Environment, and Technology Committee is now called to order. I'm Danielle McCray, Councilwoman representing the 2nd District and also the chair of the committee. In attendance, we have Councilman Ryan Dorsey of the 3rd District. We have Councilman Mark Conway of the 4th District. And we also have Councilman James Torrance of the 7th District, who will be joining us shortly. We have representatives from the Council President's Office as well as the Mayor's Office, and staff in the committee today is Trey Hayes. Before we get started, if everyone could just take a moment to turn off or silence your cell phone today. We're going to be holding 2 hearings today. The first hearing that the committee is holding is on 24-0553, Mayor's Anti-Animal Abuse Advisory Commission amendments. It's for the purpose of amending the composition of the Mayor's Anti-Animal Abuse Advisory Commission, altering procedures for meetings of the commission, providing for staff to the commission, providing for a special effective date, and generally related to the Mayor's Anti-Animal Abuse Advisory Commission. We are going to hear from representatives from all city agencies, and then we'll have an opportunity for committee members to ask any questions if they have any, and then we'll take take any testimony from the public. And at this time, we're going to start with the City Solicitor's Office.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Elena DePietro from the Baltimore City Law Department. We have reviewed this bill and approve it for form and legal sufficiency.
Thank you. And the Police Department.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Erin Murphy, Director of Government Affairs for BPD, and we favorably approve the bill.
And last, the Department of Health.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Julia Roche, Legislative Affairs Director at the Baltimore City Health Department. I am accompanied today by my colleague Sharon Colburn, Director of Animal Control, and we stand by our favorable agency report, and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a representative from the Anti-Animal Abuse Advisory Commission?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Department of Housing and Community Development.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jason Wright, representing DHCD. We respectfully stand behind our favorable bill report.
Okay, I want to open up the floor for any questions from committee members. Did we have any questions regarding this? Okay, Councilman Torrance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make a side note for committee requests. I've received a number of complaints related to spading and neutering people's actual animals when they're not being actually accused of actual animal abuse. So I would like to have a meeting related to that, and especially with the funding for barks. This has impacted 3 residents in my district. I've had to personally intervene to have animals released that were by no fault of the owner turned over to barks, and that animal control asks that they be spaded or neutered against the owner's will in order to have them actually returned. So for me, while I do not have a pet, I recognize a person's right to their personal property and the fact that we should not violate said right. So I would like to have a meeting with both barks and animal control to discuss their procedures, especially related to this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman, and we'll make sure that happens.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay, we're going to go into public testimony at this time. For anyone who has joined virtually, if you could use the raise hand function so we can make sure that you have an opportunity to speak once we get to virtual testimony. within the chambers, we're going to start with Caroline Griffin. And for all members of the public, you'll have 3 minutes to provide your testimony. If you're inside of the chambers, you're going to select the button that has like the speaker thingy on it. And also, just state your name, your first and last name, and also if you represent an organization.
Good morning, Councilman McCray, members of the committee. My name is Caroline Griffin. I am the former chair of the Mayor's Anti-Animal Abuse Advisory Commission. I am a lawyer. I live in the 5th District. I served as the commission chair from 2009 to 2013. I was the first chair. And while the commission lacked power, it was effective. We brought resources and stakeholders to the table, and we conducted lots of trainings. And with a lot of effort and time, these cases were investigated and prosecuted zealously. Tragically, a lot of that progress has disappeared, in part because the mayor has ignored this commission, which is now defunct. And like a leaky roof, when you ignore a problem, it just gets bigger. And the biggest problem we have now is that the police department is not investigating the vast majority of animal cruelty cases that are being referred to them. An information request revealed that they have filed charges in only 11 cases this year. They are declining to investigate cases even where animals endure extreme suffering. This is a case that came to the police 2 weeks ago. This was a dying, severely emaciated dog that was abandoned near Greenmount Cemetery. They declined to investigate this case. And I became aware of it because my nonprofit offered a reward over the weekend, and the sheriff's department is now investigating the case. And you may have seen that's not the only case the sheriff's office is involved in. They recently filed 178 animal cruelty charges in connection with the seizure of 83 dogs in a row home around Silver and Pimlico. That is not the sheriff's job, but he is handling these cases in the absence of BPD handling these cases. The police department's inaction is in violation of their own policy that says that they will document and thoroughly investigate every case of neglect and abuse and cruelty. The police department is seemingly unaware even of Maryland law on this issue. The Maryland Court of Appeals in March issued a written opinion that said the deprivation of food, water, and veterinary care can be torture under our felony animal cruelty laws. It doesn't even need to be extreme, like in this case. And so, while I support any initiative to take these crimes seriously, all-volunteer commission is going to be an exercise in futility unless and until the mayor make sure that these cases are investigated the way they should be. We also need to fully fund animal services and parks, which are chronically underfunded. And so I support this new revived commission with amendments. At a minimum, I mean, the legislation as written provides for 2 meetings a year. That's window dressing. That is wholly inadequate. In the early days of this commission, we met monthly. They later met every other month. I've also proposed 2 other stylistic changes that the legislation is written, provides that the mayor appoints all members of this commission, and then it goes on to say that the city council will appoint 3 members, so that there seems to be a typographical error. And I do think the city council should be involved in appointing members. I also think it should state that agency representatives rather than ex officio members attend. I just think that gives it a little more gravitas for the city agencies. So I see my time is up. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your testimony. Jen Browse.
Good morning. I'm Jen Browse. I'm the founder and executive director of Barks. We are the open admissions shelter for the city. We're the largest shelter in the state of Maryland, but our service area is all of Baltimore City. And we take in all of the animals brought in directly from animal control. Between the animals brought in from animal control and directly from the public, we take in about 12,000 a year, if I didn't already say that number. I came today because I literally just found out about this hearing 2 days ago. And I wanted to take the opportunity to just inform you a little bit about the beginning of the commission. It started because of barks, specifically because of a dog that had been set on fire that a police officer worked to save that dog's life. That commission started, or that situation started a conversation between myself and the mayor's office. From there, they created the Animal Abuse Task Force. A year later, it turned into a commission due to the successful leadership of Caroline Griffin, who just actually spoke. It showed that this commission was extremely important and very productive in that it brought agencies together to start talking about cases, to start prosecuting them. Because I can tell you, after 20 years of running the animal shelter, in the beginning, that didn't happen at all. There was absolutely no communication and no cases going forward. Over time, that definitely improved for the first many years of the commission, advising and providing reports of what we needed to do as a city to improve animal welfare and to end animal abuse. But over time, that commission lost direction because after providing those reports and sort of meeting, and there wasn't a lot more that we could do, and it really comes down to what is the commission's purpose now? And so when I read this bill, I was like, okay, but what is the purpose? And I would implore you to really think about what is the purpose of the commission. Because although I was the one who recommended that this task force even start, I find myself asking, what is the purpose? So when I look at the 3 points of this bill, one is taking it from meeting every month to then it was every other month to now meeting twice a year. That makes sense because we didn't have anything else to discuss. Because during those years, it became where the commission was not allowed to speak about the cases, and then it also, internally or externally, it just lost purpose. So twice a year, what is the purpose going forward now? How is that commission going to be productive to you and to the city of Baltimore, and specifically to the animals? Secondly, in lowering the number of members, that's fine. That part makes sense. It was a very large commission, so no issue with that. But third, Barks is no longer an appointed member of the commission. We've been removed. And so I find that very interesting as well, considering that we do take in all the cases from animal control. So I would just take a look at what is the purpose of the commission. I know that's not specifically what this is today, but when I was asked recently, am I going to support this bill that I wasn't aware of, looked into it, I thought, well, what is the purpose of this bill? Because what is the purpose of the commission going forward? I truly hope that we can work together to combat animal abuse. I hope that we can support Barks through funding to take care of the animals, the thousands that come into our shelter that need the medical care from the abuse and neglect that they have. I fully support too that the police department be funded properly so that they can investigate cases and work with animal control to move those cases forward like we did successfully for many years in the beginning of the commission. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. For the administration, prior to voting, did you have any remarks that you wanted to provide regarding this bill?
No, but I will clarify that Barks was not removed out of the legislation. It reads the chief executive officer, executive director, or director of an animal shelter operating within the boundaries of the city. That is Barks.
No, we're only taking testimony, not questions. Thank you. And Mrs. Shanola, can you make sure that someone just follows up with
Yes.
Barks
Yes.
with their additional questions? Thank you. Councilman Dorsey.
Thanks. Tyler, I mean, this is, I've run into bills in the past where in seeking to name a specific corporate or nonprofit entity or something, legal opinion was basically that we shouldn't name entities like that, but rather categorically maybe define something like that. Am I?
It's not that you can't, but you can't compel a private entity to serve on such a commission. So by being general, you can seek out the entity that actually wants to serve.
Great, I appreciate it. I can't imagine that.
But that's why the language was written in that way.
Yeah. I can't imagine that the intent here would be to name anybody other than the largest animal shelter in the city as the preferred representative in this categorical role. Thank you.
Councilman Conway? And I just want to double back with our virtual attendees. If you would like to testify, if you could just use the raise hand function. At this time, we're just going to double check. Okay. So we are closing the public testimony portion of this hearing. And is there a motion to vote on Bill 24-0553? Okay, is there a second? Okay, so motion by Councilman Dorsey, second by Councilman Torrance. We're going to take a vote at this time. McCray, I'm a yes. Bullock is absent. Conway? Yes. Dorsey? Yes. Schleifer is absent. Porter is absent. Torrance? Okay, this motion has passed 4-0. We have 3 members who are absent. We are going to, and the bill will be placed on second reader at the next city council meeting. This particular hearing is adjourned. We're going to take a brief recess and then we're going to come back for the next bill. The committee's now going to hear our second hearing for the day. It's going to be Council Bill 23-0367, gas-powered debris removal equipment for the purpose of prohibiting the use of gas-powered debris removal equipment in Baltimore City, defining certain terms, establishing procedures for reporting the use of gas-powered debris removal equipment, establishing certain penalties, and providing for a special effective date. We are going to hear from our representatives at this time. And we're going to start with the Department of Public Works.
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Alejandra Ivanovich for the Department of Public Works. We stand by your report.
Thank you, Department of General Services.
The Department of General Services stands by their bill report.
Baltimore City Solicitor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We stand by our report.
Environmental Control Board.
Good morning. The Environmental Control Board stands by our report and the amendments.
Department of Health.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. The Department of Health requests a favorable report based on the amendments that were made. Thank you.
Recs and Parks.
Good morning, Madam Chair. The Department of Recreation and Parks stands by their bill report.
Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Luciana Diaz with DOT. We stand by our bill report of no objection.
Commission on Sustainability.
And the Commission on Sustainability stands by their report as well.
Okay, do we have any remarks from the sponsor of the bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for bringing this bill to a vote. Since the hearing we had on this, I did a lot of work with the administration. I want to thank Tyler Schnella and the other members of MOGR and the mayor's office and the various agency representatives for making their needs clear and working with me on the set of amendments that the committee members have been provided. I'm very happy with the outcome of these amendments. I think that we have a strong bill here that keeps us in line with what other jurisdictions have been doing all across the country. And I'm here to ask for a favorable report with these amendments.
Do we have any committee questions? Councilman Torrance?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question for the sponsor and the law department. I see that there's a criminal penalty. Can we talk about the instance in which that criminal penalty will be enforced?
The Fourth Amendment to the bill
I'm just making sure.
strikes on page 4 of the Fourth Amendment, if you look at page 4 of the bill, line 22, says criminal penalties. The Fourth Amendment that you have strikes criminal and substitutes civil.
Okay, I'm just wondering because on
So there's
page
no-
5 of
so
the
there is-
reprint
oh.
at 8402, 83, in brackets is 8302, it says criminal penalties before we vote, because I just want to make sure that if that is the case, then we should remove that criminal and make it civil. So that I don't know if there was an error left out because I thought it was switched to totally civil. So that's the only thing I caught from the reprint.
Is this the reprint?
Yeah, on page 5. I just want to make sure because technically we would pass a criminal penalty by default.
What?
I don't know where you're.
Where are you in the bill?
Page 5 of the reprint, right here.
Oh, I didn't know the reprint.
Yeah,
Do you have a copy?
yeah,
He's got the reprint. Thank you.
yeah. That would make it, I just want to make sure if we vote this out, that we can correct that, then because we would default create a criminal penalty.
Page
5.
5. Yep. Section. What section?
8042. Unless we're saying that we're replacing it with the brackets.
8402.
And then, Councilman, can you help me understand what's the concern here again?
So the intent would be to pass a civil penalty, but it looks like the title under 8042 still remains criminal penalty. By that default, it still remains a criminal penalty. So we would have to add an additional amendment to strip the criminal portion and replace it with civil. If not, then law enforcement can give someone a misdemeanor for the actual possession. It's a small issue, but it's a major issue if we pass it this way.
And to be clear, there are criminal and civil penalties in the bill. So you're saying that there should only be a civil penalty or there should only be a criminal penalty?
My understanding that it was totally just civil penalties is what the agreement was.
Oh, I'm not aware of that. There are criminal and civil penalties in here.
Yeah,
There should be civil penalties and environmental violation fines, but
yeah. We would have to restrict the criminal because so constitutionally, a person would not be on notice that they committed a crime by having a leaf blower, which would make this bill subject to a constitutional challenge. A civil penalty, they'll be given an opportunity to have their day in court where they can actually have a Fifth Amendment right. But right now, we are constituting as a misdemeanor. And that then leads to a different criminal procedure.
Right. And I think the criminality piece comes in, it's not just having it. We're not saying you can't have a gas-powered leaf blower. We're saying you cannot use it. And using it outside of, there's some set time periods in the bill until we get the full implementation would be a criminal penalty. Because it'd be a violation of this whole subtitle. And I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, when we talked about it with the law department, that was something that we were able to do.
It is possible to specify a criminal penalty. It provides notice to the public. Whether or not it remains in there is a policy decision.
I apologize for this oversight on my part in working through this, or that this hasn't come to my attention until now. Madam Chair, can we take a 2-minute recess? Is it possible?
We're going to be in recess for 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're returning with Council Bill 23-0367. And are there any additional questions from committee members regarding the bill? Okay, so we're going to move on to public testimony. We do not have anyone signed up within the chambers, but if someone is here and would like to testify, feel free to come to the front and state your first and last name. If not, we're also going to double check to see if we have anyone virtually who would like to testify. If you are virtual and you would like to testify, please use the raise hand function. Okay, and we do not have anyone in the chambers from the public and also virtually, so that's going to conclude public testimony. We are going to move towards our voting session. Do we have a motion to vote on the amendments as a package 1 through 4?
I move the amendments that are titled or labeled MOGR 2, 7th of August, 2024. There are 4 amendments.
Is there a second? Okay, so motion by Councilman Dorsey, second by Councilman Torrance. And we're going to vote on the amendments. McCray is a yes. Bullock is absent. Conway? Yes. Dorsey?
Yes.
Schleifer is absent. Porter is absent. Torrance? Okay, so that motion is passed. And we're now going to vote on the bill with the proposed amendments at this time.
I move the bill favorable with the amendments.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay. Motion by Councilman Dorsey, second by Councilman Torrance. McCray, yes. Bullock is absent. Conway? Yes. Dorsey?
Yes.
Schleifer is absent. Porter is absent. Torrance? Okay. That's 4-0 with 3 absences. This bill is going to be placed on second reader at our next council meeting. I do want to thank, and the motion is passed. I want to thank everyone for attending this morning. This hearing is now in recess.